The Droid Max 4G LTE is an Android smartphone made by Motorola for the Verizon LTE network. Built around KitKat Android 4.4 and sitting on top of 32GB of memory, the Max is powered by a Motorola X8 system on a chip that includes a 1.7 GHz dual-core application processor and a quad-core 400 MHz GPU that drives a 5-inch 1280 by 720 Super AMOLED multi-touch screen protected by Gorilla Glass. With its slim bezel styling and matte finish DuPont Kevlar fiber unibody, the Max measures 5.41 inches by 2.8 inches by 0.34 inches and 5.86 ounces. Much of that weight comes from a 3500 mAh non-replaceable battery, which can provide up to 48 hours of typical use and more than 3 weeks of standby. For you Qi junkies, the Max also supports wireless charging. The Max has the standard complement of 3 on-screen control buttons, plus beveled power and volume switches on the right side of the phone. In a neat design feature, the rocker switch can be removed to reveal a nano slim card slot for the unlocked phone. A 10-megapixel camera and LED light find their usual placement on the back, while a 2-megapixel camera can be found on the face. The Droid Max has all the cool kid wireless accoutrements, including Bluetooth 4.0, NFC, GPS, AGPS, GLONASS, and 802.11a BGN, along with LTE, CDMA, EVDO, Edge, GSM, HSPA, HSDPA, and HSUPA across the 700, 800, 850, 900, 1800, 1900, and 2100 bands. Wow. Getting past the specs, the Motorola Droid Max is surprisingly satisfying to use. The slightly thicker and heavier dimensions of the phone combined with the Kevlar unibody make it comfortable to cradle and unlikely to slip out of your hands. At first I was worried that 720p might be too low for a 5-inch screen, but the Max is beautiful, with saturated colors and sharp images. The fact that the processor doesn't need to push pixels for a 1080p screen probably accounts for the addictively smooth, no-lag UI. The camera is just above average. Good enough for basic pictures and videos, but definitely not in iPhone 5 territory. The stereo speakers are fantastically powerful and possibly the best I've heard on a smartphone. Combined with a fairly decent call quality, the Max is no slouch in the audio department. However, the real talent of the Max is its battery. That 3500 mAh power pack truly makes the phone live up to its name. Ingress aficionados know how the game, which uses the screen, processor, GPU, GPS, Wi-Fi, and cell radios all at the same time, can drain even an all-day phone like the Galaxy Note 3 in 4 hours or less. With the Max, I ingressed for more than 12 hours with enough power to spare at the end of the day for some Netflix. The Motorola Droid Max 4G LTE is available now. You can buy it for $150 with a 2-year contract or $450 month to month. Let's start with the cons. And for me, the biggest con has to be the pricing. I'm always looking at off-contract pricing, and $450 without a contract, even though it's unlocked, still seems to be a bit high. I'd like it to compete with something like the Nexus 5. I'd like them to be really aggressive with the pricing. Maybe knock $50 off just to make people know that this is a value in all senses of the word. The other thing has to be the relative spec. Now, I know spec means very little in actual experience of the phone, but for us geeks out there, it's something to have to tell people, well, it's a 720p screen, and yeah, the processor's not as fast as on some other phones. There really is no excuse for that if you're going to be looking for that in a phone. The third thing has to be the camera. I'm really disappointed in the camera. It's not a bad camera, but it's not even as good as some of the cameras I have on my Samsung phones, and that's still a step below what you get on, say, your iPhone 5 or 5S. But on the pros side, I have to say number one is the battery. This is a killer, a stellar battery. I almost got 4 days of battery life off of one charge. And you got to remember, I'm doing a lot of things. I'm using it as a hotspot. I'm playing Ingress. 4 days off of a phone like this, which is still crazy capable, is, well, unheard of. The other pro is that it makes do with the specs that it has. Yes, the processor isn't as fast as some other processors on the market, but because it's not pushing as many pixels, it feels snappy. Also, I really like the styling. It actually fits well into my hand. It's not too big, it's not too small. It feels just right. Combined with the battery life, it gives me that phone that I feel is going to be a workhorse again and again and again. The last thing is, well, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I really like this Kevlar backing. It's so much better than those smudgy plastics. It feels strong. I've actually dropped it a couple of times and it It doesn't seem worse for the wear, and it just looks good. For a phone that looks good, that feels good, and has a crazy long battery life, the Motorola Droid Max just might be the thing you need to buy. I'm Father Robert Ballecer with Before You Buy, and this has been the Motorola Droid Max. Year ago, right?
Okay.
But
So this is a year-old phone?
This is a year-old phone. This came out in August of 2012.
Aha.
But it's actually become sort of the low-cost option.
It's 99 cents.
Right. But it's Jelly Bean, so it's decent. It actually runs quite nicely. We wanted to see exactly how well a phone like this ages, if it could actually be still the phone you get if you're on a budget. The Motorola Droid Razr M model XD907 is a year-old Android-based smartphone connected to Verizon's LTE network, designed to provide long battery life, above-average performance, and durability in a small, less expensive package. It measures 2.4 inches by 4.8 inches by 0.3 inches thick and 1/4 pound heavy. An aluminum bezel surrounds an edge-to-edge 4.3 QHD 960 by 540 240 dpi Super AMOLED advanced screen underneath Gorilla Glass, while the back is protected by a layer of Kevlar. Motorola claims that a nano coating makes the M water repellent, protected against rain and small spills, so we didn't want to tempt fate. We'll just take their word. The M is powered by a Qualcomm MSM8960 dual-core 1.5 GHz Snapdragon S4 processor on top of 1 GB of RAM. The M has 8 GB of internal memory and a micro SD slot that can support memory cards up to 32 GB. The phone supports CDMA 800 and 1900, LTE B13, WCDMA 850, 900, 1900, and 2100, as well as GSM 850, 900, 1800, and 1900, EVDO Revision A, HSPDA 21.1, and HSUPA 5.76. The Razr M runs Android 4.1.2 Jelly Bean, and the interface is smooth, responsive, and uncluttered. The processor is screen size appropriate for the M, meaning that there's plenty of power to make even graphic-intensive applications run smoothly. Call quality was excellent. Not only did users comment on the excellent sound both from the internal mic and attached headphones, but in 2 weeks of usage, never once did I drop a call. Camera quality is average. The M features an 8-megapixel rear-facing camera with an LED flash and a 0.3-megapixel front-facing camera for video conferencing. While that spec's a bit lower than the competition, it is more than adequate for typical use. Complementing its cell-based communications, the M comes equipped with the standard array of wireless standards: dual-band 2.4 and 5 GHz Wi-Fi 802.11a b GN, as well as Bluetooth 4.0 EDR and NFC. Power for the M is provided by a 2000 mAh lithium-ion rechargeable battery. In my rundown test, the M lasted a whopping 14 hours of Netflix playback, 19 hours of talk and browsing, 12 hours of ingress, and at least 8 days of standby time. Additionally, the M is one of the fastest charging phones that I've ever reviewed. Though most Android phones support decent tethering and hotspot features out of the box, the transfer rates on the M were exceptionally good and worth noting. In fact, on a trip to New York, the M became my primary internet connection, with enough speed to surf, stream, and call simultaneously without as much as a hiccup. In all, the M is a small, light, full-featured phone that has battery power for days and excellent usability. The Motorola Droid Razr M on Verizon is available now. You can get it for 99 cents on contract, $349 unsubsidized.
So obviously this isn't one of the newer generations of phones. It really competes on price. I mean, you get it on 99 cents if you're getting it with contract. It does have a few things going for it. The first is it does actually have decent call quality. You know, it's better than most of the phones that I reviewed in this price range with this format. Also, I didn't think smallness could be a feature, but I had a few people in my community who actually liked how big this was. They don't like the bigger screen phones. Yeah. I love a big screen.
I do too. I know.
Yeah, I guess if someone really wanted a smaller screen, they would have
to go. If you have small hands, you don't want a big phone. It's
guess,
too hard to hold.
So it's perfectly sized if you're a hobbit. I guess.
Okay.
So battery, call quality, the performance is actually pretty good, but I think that's mainly because the resolution's not that high. You're not pushing.
It's 720
pixel. Not even 720.
It's not even 720.
Yeah. So it's not any standard resolution. So that always looks a little weird whenever you try to scale it up. And that's really all I can say. Other than it is durable. I dropped this on a New York street, and it didn't even dent. Not the aluminum.
Give that to Brian. I think he could use it.
Yeah, he might. And it does one more trick. Supposedly, this has a nanoparticle protection scheme, which means.
Oh no! Don't put that in water. Actually, go ahead. Put it in water.
Like liquid
for 99 cents. Who the hell?
For 99
cares?
cents. So we should just be able to
pull down your notification tray. Actually.
There you go. See, and it's still technically
Didn't I
working.
review this last year? I think I reviewed this last year. The only real advantage of it is it goes full screen. I mean, edge to edge, and you can do that if that's something that
if
rocks your boat.
If you run in rainstorms a lot, then maybe this might be the phone for you. I have to say, though, I wasn't all that impressed by the price because it's 99 cents if you get a contract, but unsubsidized, it's $349. For less than that, you could get a Nexus 4.
You should get a Nexus 4 for that price. Yeah.
So I mean,
if you could,
if
which
they
you can't,
if they could drop this 100, this would be a competent phone for that price. At $349, I'd say try because you really have to be into the call quality, into the battery, and into the size.
540 by 960 on the display.
Yeah,
that's kind of a weird. You're right. Weird resolution. So a try for the right person, a Hobbit. This would be the right phone.
Yeah, exactly.
The Droid Razr M. Thank you, Robert. Robert does This Week in Enterprise Tech Mondays and Know How on Thursdays.
Absolutely.
And more to come.
More to come.
We want more. We want more.
You can find out more about this fantastic offer by clicking the link in the description.